What's going on, player? We are live here, Nightcap NFL Recap. I got my boy Dave in the building there. We just finna talk what we saw today on NFL, get some, thoughts out there, give our analysis and all the surprises that happened today. So, Dave, how did you do today? Tell the people how you did.
I did pretty well. My posted picks, I'm 3 for 3. I really shouldn't have posted the Saints. I was really on the border. I spoke with you about whether to take the Saints or Houston. I took Houston in my contest, but I bet the Saints. I wish I didn't. But I lucked out because, as I told you backstage, I bet the under live in this Dallas Tampa Bay game, and I clicked it twice. So I'm actually up 2 units, which is good.
Hey, it's great, man. Me and you both. I had an excellent today. I went 14-2-1. I pushed on a baseball play because, see, I'm adding all of those in too. Like, those are my total plays for today, including baseball, props of the NFL, and sides. And I also took that tennis guy, the favorite Carlos Alcaraz, whatever. I just sprinkled some on him. Hey, why not? It was minus 223, I think so. I didn't care. Hey, why not, man? I was feeling good. I was trying to get money wherever I could get money today. So.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some games, man. What did you think about? Let's start off with the Texans and the Colts. First game.
So that I labored. So I'm in Circa. Few people know. I'm also in PSR's deal, which is they're doing the same thing as Circa, same odds and everything. I had my 4 plays for days, and I couldn't figure out what my 5th play was going to be. It was going to be the Saints or the Texans. But the thing it was too powerful is I think the Colts are 1-11 the past 12 years in covering the spread the first game of the season. It's just the Texans to me, and no offense to Houston in your hometown, they're just so let's just say they're wandering in the desert right now. You could say they're bad, but the Colts did what the Colts do, and the Texans should have won that game. If they were a better team, they would have. But I have no problem with a tie and covering the spread. So I think the Texans probably played a little better than I thought, and the Colts kind of played just as bad as I thought they would. And I'm not as high on them as everyone else is. And we'll see what happens. But Matt Ryan's, everyone thinks he's going to be like Stafford to the Rams. I think Matt Ryan's done.
Yeah, he didn't show me too much different than what he's always been capable of doing. It's just he has a better roster around him, which kind of bailed him out because the Texans defense was playing pretty much outstanding in that first half. And they changed that momentum when they stopped them on that goal line, but the Colts dropped that touchdown pass. If they would have caught that, they would have went up, I think, a touchdown. And the momentum may have been too much for him to overcome. But the fact that gift was there allowed them to stop them on that 4th and goal, carried the Texans back down the field. And I did not know that we had O.J. Howard. I did not know that. He scored both of our touchdowns today. We signed him because I think Tampa Bay cut him earlier in the week, and we picked him up. Low-hanging fruit. I usually call it to her because a team like us, we can use that considering we don't have a lot of money tied up into a big-time player. So that was a great pickup, in my opinion.
It was. Yeah, you guys can use all the help you can get. But, I think Davis Mills, he's still – I know people in Houston think there's high hopes for him. I think he played pretty well. And, you hit your prop that you gave out on my show. Overtime helped it, but he had over 20 and a half completions. But 23 and 37, 240 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. That's a pretty decent stat line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He didn't put the ball in harm's way. He just didn't have enough plays, like I said, because when you get down to the stats, I wrote them down right here. And of course, the Colts had 33 first downs to the Texans 20. So the time of possession was almost 40 minutes. And a lot of that was in the 4th quarter because the Texans were like minus 5 yards with like 7 minutes left in the 4th quarter because they couldn't do nothing. And traditionally, that's how they are. They were the worst scoring team in the 4th quarter last year. So nothing changed. And as far as the rushing, they only rushed for, 77 yards, I believe. They rushed for 77 yards on the day. So that hasn't changed. It was the defense today that kept them in that game. The pass rusher that we have coming off the edge, causing havoc on the quarterback. And we already know if that was a running quarterback, he may not have had those chances to get those plays. But the fact that Matt Ryan is not that mobile enough to a new pressure like that, he was able to make some big plays. Got a forced fumble, I believe, a couple sacks. So I'm going to be watching that defensive line. I like the mentality of Lovey. He got some veterans over there that he's put in place to help with the youngsters, and he's calling the defensive plays as well as being the head coach. So he's got his Bill Belichick on right now. So it'll be interesting to watch them. Like, I'm not high hopes on the Texans. Like I say, I picked to where I can make money off him, and I knew that Davis Mills will have enough possessions to get those pass attempts because of the run game. We cannot run the ball, and it stalls every single time. So I was pretty confident, in those pass completions, considering they were up, and like you said, they should have won that game.
They should have won the game.
Should have won that game. So,
that's the point. The Colts should have lost that game. I guess we can put it that way. I think if the Texans did just about as good as they can do. I mean, I know the thing about the Texans is, they've had some great defensive teams, and they've had a couple, here and there. I mean, obviously Hopkins, and they've had some weapons on offense, but they haven't. And you could probably tell me about this. I don't follow like their front office. Why aren't they spending money or trying to go get a guy? Because you're looking at their running backs. They've got Burkhead, who is serviceable, but he's always been a third or fourth string back. Mm-hmm. And Damian Pierce, I know he was, they had, you guys have high hopes from coming out of Florida, but they don't have a running game. And if they don't have a running game and they don't have an elite quarterback, then you can't throw the ball because all they're going to do is play 5 in the box or 6 in the box and drop everyone back. So I don't know. I think the Houston, I'm semi impressed by what they did, but there's zero hopes for me in them winning the division and going to the playoffs. They might be a bet on team though. They looked like a bet on team.
They're definitely an ATS team, in my opinion, but it's considering the team that they're playing. I felt it was a division game and they could keep that game close, but I'm not saying that if the Chiefs come in here or the Vikings come in here, a high-powered offense, that they're going to hold it down. I just think it was the fact of the team that they were playing, new pieces, and it was a division game. And I didn't put out this stat I was on Jimmy this morning. I had it wrote down, but we were kind of pressed for time, so I kind of overlooked the stat. But the Colts are now, well, I guess it's tied. So we're going to say they were 1-5 in their last 6 opening division games. So now I guess they won 5-1 because they tied. Yep. The Texans were 5-1 in the last 6 years, their first game in the division. So
straight up?
Straight up. Just straight up. Yeah, not ATS, just straight up. I went back 6 years to see their first division game, and it was straight up. So that was a good stat that I thought that I was confident that I could take the Texans plus the points. So I was in here cheering that I should have took the money line, but like I said, fourth quarter, the Texans became the Texans. Like
if you took the money line, I know people might, and you're not you're too good of a capper to be a homer, but anyone that had the balls to see that and to take Houston on the money line, that's some pretty big balls.
Well, they would have got their money back. They didn't lose.
Oh, no, they didn't lose. You're right.
So it would have been, it was a good play. Like I said, I usually do that. I usually take most of my, my unit on the points and sprinkle a little bit, like 10 or 20% on the money line. But I didn't do it today because I knew that the Texans were probably going to implode in the fourth like I usually do. But let's move on to the Saints and the Falcons, man. You were iffy on this play. We talked about it on your show. I took the Saints minus the, 4.5, 5.5, whatever that was.
Yep.
They cover it, but tremendous comeback by Jameis Winston, man. I looked at the numbers that they were playing. I think he only had like 57 passing yards within third quarter, and the fourth quarter comes, he throws for 200. Yeah. So kudos to Winston, being mature, going in there, not giving up. And, he knows Atlanta pretty much because he played at Tampa Bay. So he's been in this division. So I'm not surprised that they came back and won because I was on the Before You Bet show with what's his name, DJ Big Boss and Dominique Gunn. They had a show earlier that they put me on.
I saw, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I told them on that show that the Saints are trailing right now by 2 touchdowns, and I feel that they can come back in that fourth quarter. So I was pretty confident they can win. I knew that the points were maybe gone. They probably was going to win a field goal by that. So, but I was confident they could have came back and won that game. So what'd you feel about that one?
Yeah, the same. So again, I put the Saints in the same boat as the same boat as the Colts. It's a team, and the Broncos are in that boat too. Teams that people are high on that I'm not so high. I have big question marks. Jameis Winston is the question mark for the Saints. I've never been high on him. The dude can throw the ball. He can throw for a lot of yards, but he makes bad decisions and he throws interceptions. Didn't happen this game. He just was rusty or something. I don't know what the deal was. The Saints had the defense to keep, not so much in this game, but if this were to happen, and they actually did in the second half, they kept them in the game. That's going to be that's going to be his saving grace is the Saints keeping them in the game. But I'm not shocked at all that the Saints came back. I'm kicking myself for betting this game. It's a game that jumped off as an obvious game, like I said, and I should have just kept it off. I mean, when I switched to the Texans for the contest, I should have just kept it off. Kudos to them for winning. The Falcons are absolute dog crap. They've got, I mean, God bless Marcus Mariota. He's never found a place in the NFL. It's probably because he's not that great of a quarterback. I mean, he's kind of like a Jacoby Brissett type of deal. You know, put him in place and go. I'm shocked that Alvin Kamara, he kind of faded off at the end of last year. I had him on my fantasy team. He didn't do too well today. You know, Taysom Hill's in the mix, mixing it up, and as he always is. But
leading rusher, he had 81 yards. Taysom.
Yeah. So I mean, it not a shocker that the Saints won, a shocker that the Falcons, kept it so close. But this has to be one of those, divisional first game of the season division games that are weird because the Falcons could not win a game the entire season, and that wouldn't shock me. But this was good for them. But and I'm not worried about the Saints winning. I just don't think the Saints. People are saying they could win the NFC. I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
I've heard many people are telling me that they're the dark horse. They're not any dark horse to me. They'll probably squeak it into the playoffs, maybe.
Yeah, because if you get behind, good teams, you're not gonna be able to come back like you did. That was the Falcons, so we already know what they're capable of. And Marcus Mariota, he's a traditional backup quarterback. I mean, there's no, difference in that. And he did 20 for 33, 215 yards, but he didn't have a touchdown. So the money that you can make on Mariota is the rushing yards, 72 yards rushing. So he's going to be scrambling, trying to get out the pocket because he doesn't have nobody to pass to because everybody's probably covered. So he's going to be able to get those opportunities to run for first downs and things like that. So that's the bet on for Mariota. And shout out to Dutch because he hit that prop today. He was on that by about a week or so. What was the prop? I think it was over 59 rushing. It was like 40 or 59 rushing yards for Mariota. He ended up with 72.
Yeah. Well, if he saw that, he
saw that from last. Like he said, he's been eyeing him since last year with the Raiders. He said that every time he comes in, he rushes, trying to scramble for first downs and things like that. So he was real capable of getting that, considering he's the starter now. So he'll get more opportunities because he's not the backup. So shout out to Dutch, man. Good call on that one. But kudos for the Saints for coming back. It looks good on the record. But as far as the game, they're going to have to fix some issues. I like the Jarvis Landry pickup. He had 112 yards, I believe.
Like him a lot.
Yeah. So he was very productive for them. So Winston has weapons. Kamara can get going and be a triple threat, running back, catching out the backfield. So we'll see going down. But that was a good win. Now, 49ers and Bears. Very disappointing. But you know what? It's expected, in my opinion, because we all had questions about Trey Lance. Or was this more about Justin Fields being motivated on the team that overlooked him? Because how players have that on the blade to where they want to play teams that didn't pick them. So I don't know if it was more of that or the fact that the 49ers just didn't have a game plan today. Like, I couldn't tell you. I mean, if you have thoughts on this game, I didn't watch none of this game. So if you have thoughts on this one,
I watched the whole game. I'm a Niners fan.
Okay.
I'm a Niners fan, diehard Niners fan, since I was 4 years old, and I watched Joe Montana beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And I was from Southern California. I grew up 8 miles from where the Rams played, and I don't like any of the Southern California teams. The Rams are in the division.
Look at you guys.
But, isn't that funny? I saw that. He's a clever guy. Anyway, This is my deal.
Yeah.
The 49ers, there's a bunch of things I have to say about this game, but the 49ers, first of all, they struggle with their game plan when you are a running team and a defensive team, because that's what you have. I mean, that's the makings of a good team. You run the ball and you have a good defense. I mean, we've seen the Ravens win Super Bowls with Trent Dilfer before and Joe Flacco. So they struggle, though, against other teams that kind of do the same thing. The Tennessee Titans, they lost at the end of last season. Teams that do the same thing, they struggle with. And the Bears don't have a great defense, but they played good defense. And all you could do in this game was run the ball because it was like a swimming pool, if you saw it. The grass is in Soldier Field, the grass is longer. It was raining cats and dogs. And when the Niners realized that the Bears were playing them hard, and the Trey Lance, by the way, and I am a Jimmy G fan, and I knew that Jimmy G sticking around, him and the Niners, Jimmy G knew he could get his second crack, and the Niners, I think they made a mistake going all in with Trey Lance. They drafted him so high, they have to give him a chance. But the fact they kept Jimmy G around is because they're not sure. And so he might be a flop. But I think if you put Jimmy G in, you're right back to being a conference champion contender because he can just manage the game. And then Shanahan does his thing with play calling. But they got to a point where they got behind. And, oh, shit, not only is the weather bad where we have to pass, but we have a guy that's not a passing – I mean, he has an arm, but he's not accurate. And he's never been in this situation. So it was doomsday. When they got down, I'm like, shit, they're losing. And the worst part about all of this is in my survivor pool, I was Ravens or Niners. I chose the Niners, and I'm out. So I have to sit the rest of the season, on the bleacher. But it's not an indication of how the Niners are going to do. If they struggle, they're going to bench his ass and put Jimmy G in. They're too good of a team not to contend. And the Bears are a bad team, but this was the perfect storm for them to lose.
Hey, literally, the storm. Yeah,
storm.
That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like on the highlights when I saw the Justin Fields diving in the end zone, like you say, like a swimming pool. So, I believe I did take the fourth. No, I took the under in this game, and I believe I hit that, right?
Good bet.
Yeah, I took the under in this game. Now I'm thinking about it. I took the under because I didn't trust their quarterback, and I felt like it was going to be a low-scoring game, and I think I did because I heard about the weather this morning on the pregame of ESPN in the countdown. They mentioned that it was going to be rain and heavy storms. So I was like, hey, why not take a chance and take that under? So we'll see going forward, man. Kittles is hurt. He didn't play today, so we'll see how healthy he can be coming up in the next week or so. But
and Elijah Mitchell, he looked so good before he got hurt. He got hurt last year too. The thing is why I'm not worried is this is a team. They're just like the Ravens have been. They're a perfect example of the same type of team. All they need are decent running backs. They have their one guy. Debo can do whatever he wants and play defense. I mean, this team is one of the top 3 defenses in the NFL, and they're going to be low scoring games. But and by the way, too, I think if the weather wasn't there would have been a little bit more confidence in them coming back. But once he couldn't grip the ball, he was running to the sideline to get towels. Trey Lance, he's never played in that kind of weather. I mean, went to North Dakota when it's it's snowing, when it's that wet there, and it's not wet. So I don't know. It was awful, and it pained me for a lot of reasons. But it's over, and good job, Bears. But I'm not worried for the Niners, and I'm not impressed by the Bears.
Okay, I agree. Well said. Now, let's move on to an interesting game that I was pretty much watching towards the end, not the whole game, but I keyed in on it once I saw what was going on. Pittsburgh and the Bengals, man. Pittsburgh had no reason winning this game. Bengals, 432 yards. They passed for 300, rushed for 133 yards, and they lost this game because of 2 shanked field goals that obviously someone that's getting paid to kick a field goal can't even make it. And mind you, it was an extra point that could have won that game. They came all the way back. Jamal Chase, got the touchdown, and they blew the extra point. So they go in overtime. He gets another chance, and guess what? Blew the field goal. So I'm very disappointed in the Bengals. I didn't have any money on this game because I didn't trust the division game. And like I said, I knew that the Bengals offensive line was shaky. They probably were going to have a couple of sacks on Burrow because he was the most hit quarterback last year. And it proved today because he got hit 7 times, sacked 7 times. So Pittsburgh applied much pressure on Burrow, shook him up. He had how many turnovers? 5 turnovers. And that's what pretty much lost in the game. The stats say that they should have won, but once you get to the turnover differential, it's all, 5. So, did you see any of this game? Did you see the highlights? What did you think of this?
Didn't watch the game. I saw the highlights. I will have to say, though, that it kind of fits the tune. I knew a lot of sharp cappers that were on the Steelers. I know some people that are high on the Steelers to win the division. God knows why, because Mitch Trubisky is not I'm not high on him either. But the name of this game was 2 things. Joe Burrow, to me, caught lightning in a bottle last year. I also think he's more worried. He's like, they call him Hollywood Joe, just like what they call Joe Namath. He had a nickname like that. Same kind of deal. Yeah. I forget what the nickname was. And he had one great year where he won the Super Bowl. What the hell was it?
I'm pretty sure Moose will tell us in a minute.
Hollywood Joe and Broadway Joe.
Broadway Joe. There you go.
Yeah. He was more into wearing fur coats and having gold chains. And we've seen this goofy knucklehead with his glasses and all the stuff. He likes the limelight. Yeah, he got it. I think with the O-line, I don't know how many times he got sacked. Again, I didn't watch the game. They didn't really make improvements on the O-line, and he's not a super, super mobile guy. So I knew he'd struggle. I'm also, like I said, I think his attention might not be completely into being a winner, like a gritty winner. But name of the game is turnovers. If you have 4 interceptions, I don't care how well you do, you're going to risk losing the game. Just in any sport, turnovers are like the number 1 stat for win and loss percentage. So doesn't surprise me at all. It says more about the turnovers than it does about the Steelers, because I think the Steelers in this division are still the 3rd best team. But yeah, I mean, he turned the ball over too much. That's why they lost the game. And we've also seen in college and NFL this weekend so many missed field goals and PATs. It's crazy.
That was ridiculous. I was in here screaming, like, you missed that? You did all that to come back. And like I said, that's deflating, especially for your defense that got you in that position. And you can't convert. I mean, Joe Burrow threw the ball 53 times, man. That's way too many times. I mean, I don't care who you are as a quarterback. All those attempts, and, you were 33 of 53, so what, you missed 20 of them? You were 20. Like you said, 4 interceptions, sacked 7 times.
There you go. So that's
7 times.
Too. Yeah.
Joe Mixon, though, he had 82 yards rushing, 63 yards passing. So his rushing and receiving should be interesting next week. I may look at that properly, see if I can get some plus money on that.
Well, he ran the ball 27 times. I mean, there was a ton of offense for the Bengals. That's why it's crazy why the score was so low, and it's crazy why they lost. But it has to do with the turnovers. That's it, and the sacks.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The offensive line is going to have to protect Joe Burrow. If you can't do that, then there's no sense to even thinking about what the Bengals can potentially do if you don't have time. And like I said, you got a receiver like Jamar Chase, 10 receptions, 129 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, what more can they do? But like I said, Joe Burrow's they're gonna have to fix some things on the offensive line. I will be paying attention to, like I said, Joe Mixon, because he looks like an all-purpose factor that I could probably make some money on, some props. So we'll look towards the future on that one. Let's talk about this Eagles and Lions, man. I hit that first half. Eagles minus the 3. They jumped on them pretty good in the first half. But that second half, Detroit came hauling back, 14 points in the 4th quarter. They only lost by 3. So I was watching Detroit the last couple of games last year, and they were an ATS cover. They were pretty good, spot on covering the points. So I have faith in Jalen Hurts that he can lead these Eagles, probably to the division of the Cowboys, considering how the Cowboys just played. I'm thinking that the Eagles are going to be in high, contention of that division. But other than that, they probably will get a playoff game, and they probably will fizzle out. Depends on who they play. I don't see them making a strong push to any type of NFC championship. But I just think that the team that they played today, they were able to put up points. But they still drifted off at the end and allowed them to come back because they jumped on them quick, 24-7 at halftime. But after that, they got outscored 28-7.
So the Eagles, to me, are my dark horse in the NFC. I think there's no question they're the best team in the NFC least, and I say least because usually it's a bunch of monkeys trying to screw in a light bulb in that division. I mean, they're just bad. But they did everything right in the offseason, everything right that they could have done. They drafted really well. They have some guys that can get plugged in right away. They know that besides last year, Devontae Smith is good, but they usually historically draft wide receivers really poorly. So they went out and got the dude, AJ Brown, and then they got that a Pro Bowl cornerback, which is him, Gardner Johnson. So they're all set up. The thing that worries me about this team is this, and the question mark is Jalen Hurts. I know he's good enough. I think he's going to be an above-average quarterback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Definitely good enough with a team that can run, who had the best running offense the second half of last year. And in this game, Miles Sanders had 96 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts had 90 yards and a touchdown. Gainwell 20 yards and a touchdown. Boston Scott. So they're first string, second string, third string, and their quarterback. Running backs all got touchdown. That's not a problem, and their O-line's elite. Here's the two issues. Mm-hmm. One is if you're running your quarterback 17 times for 90 yards, he's gonna get a concussion. So you need to figure that out. Don't design too many plays for him. Not even Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson might rush 17 times in a game. Over 15 is crazy. The other thing is their rush defense is going to be an issue. And I know that DeAndre Swift is a dude, and I've said that for a while.
He's just 44 yards.
Yeah, he ran all over them. So they need to shore that up. But I think these are problems they can fix. Game plan differently for Jalen Hurts and take your front seven and pound into their head that they have to be, better. The Lions, bless their heart. They're really not going to do anything. They played hard. They're probably a bet on team to the over, actually, if you look at this game. But I also, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he went to SC. I'm an SC guy. I like him. Jared Goff, don't like him, but he's a serviceable quarterback, so he can get the ball out. This showed me the Lions can score points, but it also showed me that the Eagles do have some issues, but I think they're issues that are serviceable, fixable.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree. Because like you just said, Jalen Hurts is a dual threat quarterback, but if you're not getting passing touchdowns and you're the quarterback and you're running, like you say, most of the time, that's a recipe that's not going to be able to be potent at the end when you're playing elite teams that could shut that down.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
in all fairness, too, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but AJ Brown did have 155 yards. He just didn't have a touchdown. So, we're in agreement with this. They're a good team. They just need to tweak a couple things.
Yeah, and considering the division that they're in, they'll be okay. I'm not worried about the Eagles. I took Jalen Hurts on Prize Picks. I took his pass and rushing yards more than 280, which he smashed 333. Yeah. So I'm going to continue to ride that for real. Why not? So, like I said, I'm always trying to find a way to make some money off teams. Even if I don't take you as a side or even a total, I'm going to take a player on that team that's all-purpose, that has a lot of usage, and, make your money that way, man. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Patriots and the Dolphins. I had Dolphins -3.5, which they hit. The Patriots, man, they could muster up any type of offense in this game. Matt Jones threw for 21 of 30. He had a touchdown. He only threw for 200 yards. But the rushing, they only rushed for 78 yards. So I guess Miami had a great game plan to shut down the run, which Miami didn't only rush for 65 yards too. So basically what I think happened was big plays that the Patriots, may have missed, and Miami capitalized on them, because I don't see anything that stands out in this game that, would think that the Dolphins actually dominated them. So I don't know if you saw anything in this game. I didn't see no highlights or anything in this game. I'm just looking at the box score right now. So
yeah, I was in and out of this game. This is one of my contest picks. I had the Patriots +3.5, and the reason why is, and this is exactly kind of what I thought about the Patriots. Belichick can do a bunch with nothing. He's a defensive coach. He's actually a defensive mastermind. The most well-coached game I've ever watched in the NFL on defense was when they played the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And he figured out, he said, well, Jared Goff, he's a play action guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't been tested all season to drop back in the pocket. So I'm going to drop my linebackers and my nickelbacks out in the flats, and I'm going to make this MFer drop in the pocket and throw, and he couldn't do it. So I'm not afraid of what they can do on defense, and they were fine on defense. I mean, Miami, and I'm not Tua, however you say his last name.
Yeah, whatever.
I think he's kind of trash, to tell you the truth. I watched this target practice deal where he couldn't hit a target. But anyways, what I'm saying is I think the Patriots played okay on defense. The big question is on offense, and boy, oh boy, they couldn't figure out anything. Mac Jones, and I know it's the era of the mobile quarterback. He's more of the typical like Peyton Manning type guy. He's not to that level, but drop back guy. He's definitely okay.
Mm-hmm.
He did not play that well this game, and they couldn't get anything going on the running side of the game, running side of the ball. Ramondre Stevenson, I'm high on him. He didn't do much. Damian Harris, he's okay. They just couldn't get anything going on offense, and they're going to have to compete, even though their defense is okay. If you tell me that Miami is supposed to be an offensive team with Tyreek Hill and Waddle and Tua, and you held them to 20 points, that's a game you think you could win. And
pretty much.
They scored 7 points. So I'm worried about the Patriots.
Yeah, they turned the ball over. Matt Jones had an interception. He had a fumble.
Yeah.
And Aguilar had a fumble. So 3 turnovers right there probably swung the momentum. And I don't know what kind of field position that Miami was in and able to capitalize off those turnovers. So
yeah.
So it just like I picked Miami because, like I said, it was in Miami. And the Patriots have trouble going to Miami. Even with Tom Brady, they had trouble.
They did. You're right.
Down in Miami.
Yeah.
So that was just a traditional thing that I jumped on, just to see. I didn't have really analysis or any type of breakdown in the game. I just went off that trend. And, hey, it cashed. So kudos to me. Let's talk about Baltimore.
The Dolphins as like a I think it was a 1.5 point. I index games as a 1.5 point favorite, and I thought that the Patriots I'm higher on them, but I think the Patriots might be. You might want to fade them.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see. Let's talk about Baltimore and the Jets, man. 24-9, which was expected. I took Baltimore minus the 7.5, I believe, and of course that cashed. I'm looking at the box score, total yards, 274. Actually, the Jets had more, 378. They rushed for more, 83. So let's look at the turnovers. They had 2. So nothing really stands out in this game either. Let me look at Lamar Jackson, 17 of 30, 213, 3 touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns. That's very important.
Yes.
A lot of these traditional people say that Lamar Jackson can't pass, but he had 3 passing touchdowns. Now, the fact that one of them was 25 yards, 2 of them was 25 yards, and one was 55 yards. So I guess big plays he's able to get, but to go down and drive, maybe it stalls out. The run game, Kenyon Drake, 31 yards. They only had 63 total yards rushing, so the Jets pretty much shut down the run game, and but Lamar Jackson did what he did, and I guess big plays was able to get them catapulted over this team. And Joe Flacco, 59 times, that's not going to win a game, especially when you're Joe Flacco. You're a backup for a reason, and you're not going to be able to win a game throwing 59 times. So it was kind of an unbalanced game, in my opinion, and Baltimore was able to come out and cover that spread because it's the Jets. So what are your thoughts?
So I'm kicking myself. I didn't take the Ravens in the survivor pool because they were. I said who's playing the Jets, who's playing the Bears. I'm not going to go crazy. The other team was the Commanders, who I was sure were going to win and did win. Was one of my better bets of the day. But I'll tell you this: put some respect on Lamar Jackson's name. I can't believe. I mean, I know he's injury prone. This guy was an MVP, and this was an MVP performance because he couldn't run the ball. So what did he do? He threw 3 touchdowns. I mean, this guy is a dude. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league, I think, just for what he – not only for talent, but what he brings to the table. And he kind of showed people today, granted it's the Jets, but they couldn't run the ball. So what they say, okay, well, we're going to have our dude throw it, and they did. Beating the Jets is no feat. The Jets are crappy, bottom 5 team in the league. And Joe Flacco, I wasn't high on him even when he was good, quote unquote, back in the day. But good for the Ravens, and just like the Eagles are my dark horse in the NFC. And I don't know how dark of a horse the Ravens are because they're a good team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in a game in the playoffs, like let's say the NFC or the AFC Championship is the Ravens versus the Bills. Are you going to tell me? Would you be shocked that the Ravens win? I mean, they're a defensive team. They're just like the Patriots. They're always going to be a good defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
They have a coach that's super underrated, one of the most underrated coaches of the past 15 years, in Harbaugh, and they've got an MVP at quarterback. So I say watch out for the Ravens. That's what I say.
I said it in the preseason. I believe that the Ravens was going to win their division and possibly go to the AFC Championship.
Yep.
And the reason why you would consider them a dark horse because they didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
The injuries mattered, though. Their whole backfield was hurt. They had secondary issues. Their roster was depleted. So everybody's back, healthy for pretty much, and they can make some noise. So I'm with you 100%. My money will be keyed in on the Ravens pretty much every week.
The Ravens are going to be the one team. I said this in the beginning of the season, why they're so bet on. They don't get respect with the lines. There was a game last year where they were like a 6.5 or 7 point dog against the Packers. I think it was in Green Bay. No, it was at home because they had their 4-string running back and they had Huntley. By the way, they're only listing 2 quarterbacks in their depth chart, which makes me think I'm wondering who the third guy is going to be, if they're going to have a wide receiver that throws. But Huntley was injured, playing not just hurt, he was playing injured with a 4-string running back, and they covered that spread versus Green Bay. They won 7 games last year with their 2nd-string quarterback and their 4-string running back. All defense.
They're just a good
team. Yeah.
And they got a good staff. Coaching,
Yep.
It starts from the top. A lot of people don't understand. That's why the Patriots were so successful.
Yeah.
When you have strong foundation at the top, it's just going to trickle down, man. So I'm not surprised. Let's move on to one of your picks, Jacksonville and the other Commanders. I was kind of in and out of this game. I saw Trevor Lawrence, trying to make it sustain drives. 24-42, 265 yards. He had a touchdown, a pick. They rushed for 123 yards. Robinson had 66. Christian Kirk, 117 yards. He didn't have a touchdown. As far as the Commanders, Carson Wentz, 41 attempts. A little bit high, but I can understand because it's Carson Wentz. The run game probably wasn't a factor. They only rushed for 85 yards. He did throw 2 picks, though. He had 4 touchdowns, but he threw 2 picks. So that's Carson Wentz-like, in my opinion. And pretty much, let me go to the turnovers. I didn't look at the box score. 3 turnovers by Washington, and they still won this game. So that shows a lot of the Jags. Like I said, I don't know if you watched this game or you were keyed in anything. I really don't have nothing. I just was watching the highlights and pretty much saw what they showed. So give me your thoughts on this.
This was one of my best bets of the day. Best 1 of 2. This is my thing. When you look at a team, and when I cap a game, I index it first, but then I look at units. I look at the offensive line, wide receivers, running back, quarterback, front 7, and then the secondary. And there's not one unit that Jacksonville had that was better than the Commanders, except maybe for quarterback. But here's the deal. Trevor Lawrence had the 4th lowest QBR last year. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns, and he's on a bad team. And Carson Wentz can get in his own way. I mean, he threw on back-to-back drives, he threw interceptions where Jacksonville scored, and they still lost. So this tells me that Trevor Lawrence still needs to figure it out. The Jaguars are awful as an organization. I don't care if they have Doug Peterson as a coach. But this, to me, even though it seemed like a difficult one, was an easy pick, even though the Commanders are not good. Jacksonville's bad. Trevor Lawrence is still a question mark. And, I had the Commanders all the way.
Hey, good call on that one. I didn't bet that game. No, I didn't bet that game. I stayed off of that game because it was just too much uncertainty for me, and I really didn't have any high expectations for both of these teams. So I really wasn't invested in this team. But kudos to you, man. Good call. I'm not surprised that Washington won. I'm not surprised that Jacksonville almost won. So it is what it is. Those, like you said, those 2 Jacksonville's is going to be Jacksonville, and they may be a cover team in the future. It just depends on who they're playing. Like, I think they play the Colts next week, and I may be taking Jacksonville against the Colts because they have a pretty good record against the Colts in the history. So we'll see what happens on there. I know you want to talk about this game because I know you were invested in this game, and I do believe that you won this game, Cleveland and Carolina.
Yep.
So I'm going to give you the floor on that one because I know you got a lot to say about this one.
I do. And again, it's looking at the teams and their different pieces of their team. To me, you have an elite offensive line for the Browns. No, I'm going to start with this. The organization is bad from the top down. I don't like the coach. And I know there's this dark cloud hanging over their head about this guy they paid too much guaranteed money to. The team is super talented. So they got one of the best. They got an elite offensive line, the best running back tandem in football. They still got Amari Cooper. So the wide receivers are good. And then their defense is top 5 to 7, both front 7 and defensive backs. When you look at Carolina, everything is ranked in the middle to the lower part of the NFL. And the thing that kicked it off is the only reason why anyone was talking about this game was this narrative of Baker Mayfield playing his old team. Let me talk to you about Baker Mayfield. He is a short, underachieving big mouth. And this just shows that he's not that good. I've never thought he was good. And the fact that he even talks crap makes me even, not like him just as much. And to me, I think the Browns should have smashed them, and I know they had a 58 or 60-yard field goal to score, but Jacoby Brissett just beat Baker Mayfield. Okay, so he can shut up and sit down.
Hey, I'm not mad at that. Going through the box score, man, I don't. Carolina was 4 of 11 on third down. Pretty much, they turned the ball over once. Cleveland had the ball 38 minutes to 21. So I can say that if I go to the rushing, I can say that they controlled the game on the ground. 217 yards rushing, Nick Chubb 141.
Yep.
So that's the game right there.
Yeah, and Chubb, I knew Chubb would run it down their throat, and I don't know if Myles Garrett sacked Baker Mayfield, but I wanted him to pile drive him 6 inches into the turf.
I can find that out right now. Morris, he had 2 sacks.
There you go. The 2 things that I said, I wanted Myles Garrett to smash that guy, and I wanted Chubb to run it down their throat, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, when you look at Carolina, who do they have? I mean, I know that who was the wide receiver that had it wasn't DJ Moore. He's their dude. I'll look it up right now. DJ Moore.
Anderson.
Yes,
Robbie Anderson.
Yep. He's decent. He was on the Jets, I think, before this.
Yeah.
But he's good. He's okay. But DJ Moore is a dude. I always want to say McCartney when I talk about McCaffrey because I'm thinking about the Beatles. But McCaffrey. He's a paper tiger. He's his stats look good when he plays, but he's always hurt. They just don't have a team, and that's when you look at the Browns, everyone says, "Oh, it's the Browns. They've been so bad. They're a bad team." They're one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. They just have a bad organization at the top, a bad front office, and a coach isn't that great, and a quarterback controversy. But if Jacoby Brissett can hold down the fort until Watson comes back, then the Browns can shake it up a little bit.
Hey, I agree. Because I said there's going to be Baltimore and Cleveland fighting in that division.
Yeah.
Because I kind of feel how you feel, how Cincinnati may have caught lightning in a bottle. I'm not saying that they were going to completely implode, but the way they played today, they have some glaring issues that they're going to have to clean up. And and like you said, once Deshaun Watson gets behind center,
watch out. I think the Ravens would be able to figure out how to beat them, but the Browns would be a playoff team with a quarterback, and this isn't a hot take. The Browns could make the playoffs this year, and I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, at all.
Hey, I wouldn't be shocked either. Yeah. They have a defense, and they can get after the quarterback, and they can run the ball. Yeah, those are key elements of success in football. Let's move on to this game because I had money on this game, and I actually, on my other pool that I talked about before we started the show, I took the Giants plus money, plus the 5.5 on that, but I didn't take it today on Jimmy. I just took the total 44, which hit also. So I was very invested in this game because I knew Tannehill would have issues considering his number 1 receiver was gone. They had issues on the offensive line. I figured that the Giants could get after him because they have a good front seven that a lot of people take underrated. And I knew that what's his name? Brian Dable. That's the coach, right?
Yep.
For the Giants. Brian Dable. I knew what he did with Josh Allen. He can implement some things in this offense because the Giants have weapons. Saquon Barkley rushed for 164 yards today. Daniel Jones, he had 2 touchdowns. He turned the ball over again as an interception, and he had a fumble loss. That's the problem with Daniel Jones. He turns the ball over, and they still was fortunate to squeak out this game. So I like how the Giants played today. I knew they could go down there and stay with Tennessee. Derrick Henry only rushed for 82 yards, so he didn't break 100 on them. Tannehill, he had 2 touchdowns. He didn't have a pick, but he threw 20 for 36. So he had a pretty decent game. But like I said, I guess it just came down to key possessions, and the Giants were able to hold. So I don't know if you saw anything on this game. Give me your thoughts on what you.
I didn't watch the game. I had no bets on it. I will say I'm not high on the Titans. I wasn't high on them last year. I'm not a Tannehill fan. Mm-hmm. They're kind of a one-note team on offense. They've got a bell cow back. You don't see those anymore, where you don't see the Emmitt Smith type running back anymore. Mm-hmm. Derrick Henry is a beast. I love to watch him play, but I'm just not high on him. But I am kind of surprised the Giants won. Daniel Jones is on the hot seat. I think this is his year where he's got to put up or shut up. I don't know where he's at with his contract and all that, and he actually didn't have that great of a game. It was mostly Saquon Barkley, who I hope stays healthy because he's awesome too. But kudos to the Giants. Kudos to people that had that bet. I would say yesterday, it's not a bad bet to bet on the Giants. I just think they're not a great team. But they beat what people think are an above average team. So what do I know?
I mean, they had all their weapons. Like I said, the Giants, they've been banged up. I'm not saying that was an excuse for Daniel Jones, but the fact that he had all his weapons today at the receiver and he had a healthy Saquon Barkley. Yeah, I think that they can be in games. I'm not saying that they're going to go mow people down, but I think they can stay in games if they don't get in their own way. But Daniel Jones gets in his own way, and luckily it didn't affect, it didn't cost him the day. But I'm pretty sure if he continues to do this, it's going to cost him. So he needs to clean that up because he has an offensive coach now that can be potent and get him effective in this game. So
they just don't have any real weapons. I mean, besides Saquon, if you look at their backup running back is Matt Breida. I know him from the Niners. Sterling Shepard's their only real guy out there. I know they have Kenny Galladay too. I have my fantasy team. I took him like in the second to last round or something. The Giants haven't put what were the other team we were talking about that just won? The Texans. They're like the Texans. They don't put together a team to win, and they need to. Eli Manning is gone. What was the coach there forever? The old guy that
Fossil? No, it wasn't Fossil.
No. The old Giants coach. That's gonna kill me.
I know you're talking about. He went to Jacksonville, right?
He was in Jacksonville before. I think. Okay. Wasn't he? He was Jacksonville's first coach when they were
I'm drawing a
expansion team.
But I know who you're talking about. So, but
the days. Coughlin, Tom Coughlin.
Tom Coughlin. There you go.
Yeah, the days of the days of the great Giants teams. The helmet catch, the Giants teams that could beat Tom Brady. Those are gone. They need to give Daniel Jones some weapons, or they need to get rid of him and get a quarterback. Their defense isn't all that great either. But this showed me that they could potentially be a bet-on team because football is a spread betting sport. So
it is. And the fact that he only had 21 attempts and he had 2 touchdowns shows me that Vrabel's not going to put him in harm's way if he don't have to. He's going to rely on Saquon Barkley, control the time of possession, and convert third downs. And use that run game, to at least sustain the offense. But we'll see going forward. Like I said, I'll keep an eye on the Giants. Like it may be a good ATS team on certain situations. But let's talk about this game because I had money on this game. I didn't take it initially because I like to see how I do in the early games before I jump on some teams on the late games. And I'm glad I jumped on the Vikings, man, because they put it on Green Bay and a lot of sharp money was on the Vikings because they were the underdog. So kudos to everyone that took that plus money and money line. I wasn't confident to take the money line. I should have, but I just didn't. I took the points because I figured it'd be like a one possession game coming down the stretch, but it was far from that. And Rodgers had a long day today. And going through his stats, he was 22 of 34, 195 yards. He had a pick, no touchdown. Aaron Jones rushed for 49. Dillon rushed for 45. So collective effort there. Dillon was their leading receiver. Running back was your leading receiver.
He's on my fantasy team. There you go.
Well, kudos to you. Yeah. But that shows that Devontae Adams may be a factor being gone that Aaron Rodgers may not be able to overcome. But as far as the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, 23 of 32, 277, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Dalvin Cook, 20 carries, 90 yards, no touchdown. But Justin Jefferson showed up today. 9 receptions, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Also on my fantasy team, my number 1 pick.
Well, hey, man, talk about this game.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts.
So I almost bet the Vikings too. I had the over in this game and it didn't hit, but my logic was exactly what it was. Everyone said, "Oh, the Packers have an elite defense, blah blah blah." Well, I knew the Vikings have maybe the best offense in the NFL. They're a fantasy team. I mean, both their receivers, Thielen and Jefferson, are number 1 wide receiver ones, or can be. And Kirk Cousins doesn't get respect. I mean, he doesn't deserve it for being a winner, but he deserves it for stats. His stat line's top 5 or 6 every year. Throws for a ton of yards, a ton of TDs. He's a dude. And, obviously Dalvin Cook's there. He ran for 90 yards, didn't score a touchdown. But the thing that's crazy, and by the way, 23 points was fine for the over because all you needed was the Packers to get 24 points and the over covered. But I'm worried about Aaron Rodgers. I said this to people before the season. His mind's elsewhere, talking about, I don't know, smoking peyote or doing mushrooms or whatever, going on Joe Rogan's podcast and smoking cigars and talking about, I think he's winding down his career. His stat line was horrible today, but that offensive line, I mean, I'm not looking at how many sacks they had. I just watched the game. It looked like he was in trouble just all the time. And the Vikings don't have an elite front 7. So I'm definitely worried for the Packers. Maybe they get it together. Aaron Rodgers just looked, even though on the sidelines when he was sitting on the bench, his mind was other places. So I lost my bet on the over. Congratulations, Vikings. They look great. But I'm definite, probably of all the teams that are good, that people thought were good that should be worried about is this one. Should be worried about the Packers.
Definitely. But as we know, they usually start off slow, but there's a lot of key players gone. And it showed today to me that I agree with you. Aaron Rodgers may be thinking about something else. He may be closer to retirement than we're thinking, than we know. And if he continues to get hit like this and there's no effective in this offense, it's going to be a storyline going to come out. Possibly Aaron Rodgers may be going to another team or just flat out quitting because he's very condescending person. Yes, I'm saying he's a very condescending person.
Yeah.
And he never takes blame for himself. He wants to put it on everybody else. So let's see if he'll take some accountability.
He should, but he's not going to. You knew when he got drafted, the look on his face when he got drafted so far back in the draft. And I know he's always had a chip on his shoulder. He went to a JC. People would tell him he never would amount to anything. He had a college coach, a college professor at Berkeley. He talked about it on Joe Rogan's podcast that I listened to. That said he wouldn't amount to anything. So he does have a chip on his shoulder, and I guess deservedly so. But Christian Walker, he's a rookie wide receiver. He dropped like a wide open 75-yard touchdown for the first play of the game. Guy came out of North Dakota State or North Dakota, forget which one. And he's a rookie. And the look of disgust on Rodgers' face. If I was that rookie, I mean, granted, Rodgers is a Hall of Famer for sure. And he's the leader of that team. If I'm that guy, I'm looking at him. I mean, he's kind of like a father to that team, and you don't treat your kids that way. And the fact that he did that just shows me he doesn't care. He cares about himself a little bit too much. And that's fine. Everyone has their own. I'm not going to judge anyone for how they think about things in life and all that. But as far as a football team goes, he should have gone over to him and said, no problem. This is your first game in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to drop passes, but he didn't. He's kind of an asshole. So we'll see how that pans out. I'd be worried after watching this game. I'm not a futures guy, but if you guys are that are watching, you might want to consider the Vikings future bet to win the division.
Yeah, I may think about sprinkling some on there, but I'm gonna watch a couple more games just to because I like to get data to be confident in what I put my money on. So I'll be looking at the Vikings. Their offense is explosive, and I never doubted that. I never doubted that their offense was explosive. It's just that can I trust Kirk Cousins in crucial situations?
Well, put it this way: the Vikings have two players that were ranked in the top 10 of fantasy draft. That Cook and Jefferson. If you took them in the first round in like a 12-team league, no one would have thought differently about it. And if you have a team like that, that's a team that's going to score points. They're obviously, this is no hot take, they're obviously an over team.
Exactly. Let's move on to this game because I had money in this game. I'm kind of upset that I took Arizona plus the 6, but I should have expected it, man, considering how they play at home against elite quarterbacks. And I was talking about this earlier with you, just off the top of my head, man. I know at least 4 elite quarterbacks just in the past couple of years that have went into their building and just straight up embarrassed them. And they're a good team on the road. Like, they've been a great road team the past 2 years with Kyler Murray. Because I know for a fact, because I've won money on them. But when they come home, Dave, they are a completely different team. And I just don't understand it. But I wasn't surprised Patrick Mahomes did what he did today because I took a bet on him over 2.5 touchdowns. I don't understand how was that plus money. It was plus 122. Over 2.5 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes. He cashed that in the first half.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. I don't know if they thought the defense would put pressure on him or some type of way the Cardinals would be able to, sustain. But I didn't think that they're going to get beat this bad. The score was 44-21. The Cardinals got a bunch of garbage points at the end of the fourth quarter, but this game was out of hand from the start to me.
Yeah.
He threw for 5 touchdowns, 30 for 39, 369 yards a pass. It was his average. That's almost a first down to throw. Wow. The run game was a collective effort, 128 yards between Pacheco, Edwards, and McClinton. Travis Kelce, 121 yards, a touchdown. As far as the Cardinals, man, Kyler Murray, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. He didn't throw a pick, but the fumbles, they didn't lose them, though. So I guess they didn't have any turnovers to recover them. But the run game, Kyler Murray was your leading rusher once again, and that's why I tell my friend, he was an Arizona fan. He lives in Phoenix, and I tell him all the time, you're not going to be able to be a good team if your quarterback is your leading rusher. I don't care. We just talked about that with Jalen Hurts. You get what I'm trying to say? Even though the Eagles are a better team, they got more personnel talent than I feel that the Cardinals have right now.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't think that's a recipe for success, considering how Kyler Murray's height is going to affect him because of how short he is. So he's always in shotgun. Like my friend Mitch is all the time. He wants to see Kyler Murray under center because once you're always in shotgun, that means you're playing from behind. The defense knows, and they can predict that because that's very predictable. So they were in trouble from the beginning, man. And like I said, I shouldn't have been surprised. I took the plus 6. That's one of my bets today that I'm mad that I took. And I'll let you talk about the Cardinals, your opinion on this game.
Yeah, so in football, there has to be if I'm taking more than if it's around a touchdown, 6 or 7 points, I'm automatically there's got to be a compelling reason for me to take a team. So I'm on the Seahawks too, so that's another reason. There's got to be a compelling reason for me to think that a team, especially in the first week of the season, is going to beat another team by 7 points. And I guess a compelling reason would be Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I moved to Arizona earlier this year. I've had family that lived here for over a decade. So they're all Cardinals fans by all of their friends being Cardinals fans. And we saw last year how good they were the first half of the season, how they imploded. And the main reason to me, well, there's two reasons. One is the coach. I'm not sold on Kingsbury. But the other thing is Kyler Murray. I mean, great athleticism. He played 2 sports. He got I think he got drafted in the major leagues.
Oakland A's drafted him.
He's too short. Yeah. And there's something to be said when you can't see over 6'5" linemen. There's only one in my memory. There's only one shorter quarterback that was 6 foot. Might have been 6'1". Drew Brees, the only short quarterback. He's an anomaly. When you're shorter, you need other things, like you need to be able to run, which he can. The problem with him, he's a horrible decision maker, and he fumbles the ball. He throws interceptions, and he fumbles the ball. He didn't throw any interceptions, I don't think, in this game.
No, he didn't have any.
Yeah, doesn't mean he's not going to, but he fumbles the ball, and I'm not high on them. I mean, I think Kirk. I don't know why they got rid of Kirk. I liked Kirk a lot. Christian Kirk went to the Jaguars. I didn't bet this game, but everyone, I'd say most of my sharp friends were on the Cardinals plus the points. I don't blame them because of how many points it was, but the Chiefs showed they're the Chiefs, and Patrick. If anyone wondered what Patrick Mahomes would do without Tyreek Hill, well, he just threw 5 touchdowns, MFers. So I mean, he's a dude, and he threw 2 of them to the running back.
Yeah, easily.
I didn't know that Clyde Allaire was a threat out of the backfield to catch balls, but he did. And I saw one highlight. Mahomes did one of those looking the other way, underhanded crosses body throws. I mean, if there's any question that this guy is the most athletically talented quarterbacks, or just maybe not athletically because Lamar Jackson would be, but just the talented quarterback that we've seen in our lifetime, that's an argument. I think he's number one. If this guy stays around the league, he might be in the Joe Montana, Tom Brady, maybe not Tom Brady, but he's going to be in the top 5 quarterbers of all time if he sticks around for another 10 years.
I agree.
And the coach, Andy Reid, I mean, people don't talk about him enough. He's an offensive genius. I mean, you couldn't put 2 people a better tandem together, a coach that is just so creative and a quarterback that's so creative. I mean, it's kismet.
Yeah, seriously. And it goes to the point that I was just making. Like you just mentioned as well, Cliff Kingsbury, he gets out schemed by seasoned savvy coaches that's, understands personnel and understands how to game plan with the personnel that you have. And Kingsbury's already limited with his quarterback, like we just talked about the height. So if you can't come up with schemes to at least be effective with him and help him stop making these bad decisions, because when he's rushed and pressed, he gets out of hand. There's no telling what Kyler Murray will do when he's pressed, because it seems like he's always running for his life. Yeah. And the decisions that he makes put the Cardinals in harm's way all the time, man.
Bingo. You hit the nail on the head.
And if the defense is going to stay on the field for 35 minutes, what are you supposed to do, man? Like, what are you going to do as a team? So I keep telling my friend, I don't see why you always have high hopes for these Cardinals, man. I understand you're a homer. He likes his team. But I tell him, Kingsbury, Kyler Murray may not be the matchup that can make y'all successful.
Yeah, they're not. The coach is bad. Kyler, and I hate to say that such an athletic dude is not the right guy, but I mean, I guess I shouldn't put it against him that he's short, but that matters so much. It's that he fumbles the ball. A running guy, a guy that runs, that fumbles the ball and throws poorly on the run, makes bad decisions, because he's scampering around like Mighty Mouse back there, like Chichi Gonzalez. I don't know if you know that is from Looney Tunes. All over the place. He you have to be able to make good decisions when you do that, and he makes awful decisions. So we talked about this in your show. I don't do overs and unders. I don't like to tie my money up for futures, but if the Cardinals won 5 games this season or 6 games, I don't think that would shock anyone. It shouldn't shock anyone.
It's not.
You had him. You were high on him, though. I know.
I was because I felt like the potential is there, but I have to tone and temper my emotions, because DeAndre Hopkins ain't playing for 6 games.
Yeah.
So that matters.
Yeah.
They don't have a run game because the offensive line can't protect. That matters. They're banged up at corner. That matters. So it's too many variables that I should have at least known to where I shouldn't have took the points against the Chiefs.
And they're playing two teams. They're playing two teams in the division that they easily could go 0-4 against the Rams and the Niners. Easily.
Yeah, easily. So I'm not going to put my money on the Cardinals anytime soon until they prove to me that they're a better team. At least, I'll probably look at the division. But outside of the division at home, I'm not putting my money on them anymore. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I'm not going to do it. So let's move on. Raiders and the Chargers. I was watching a little bit of this game, and I was thinking about taking the Raiders second half, but I stayed off considering I just figured Derek Carr would maybe make a mistake, and he did because he threw 3 interceptions, and Derek Carr is known for turning the ball over. And with a team like the Chargers that added Khalil Mack, who had 2 sacks and a forced fumble, and the defense that could get after you, they got Bosa still too, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Did he play today? He didn't. Oh yeah, he did play today. He had a half a sack. Yeah. So their leading tackler was James. That's not the secondary, right? Darwin James. He was the leading tackler with 6. And then Khalil Mack had 5. He had 3 sacks. So they got after Derek Carr today. Yeah. And I have a future on the Chargers to win the division. And I'm pretty confident in it because I love Justin Herbert because he did what he was supposed to do today. 26 of 34, 279 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He did not turn the ball over. He has Austin Eckler, which helps in that run game. And it was like a collective effort because they got Sony Michel as well. I didn't know that. So they had 76 yards of the collective effort. Keenan Allen got hurt early in the game. I think his hamstring flared up on him again because he only had 4 receptions. But he was having a good game before that hamstring, started affecting him. So, but like I said, Justin Herbert can overcome mistakes, and I like his poise as long as the coach don't go for first downs. Let me look at that and see how many fourth downs they went. They were 0 for 1 on 4th down. So he only went for it on 1 time. So that's a good thing because I like the coach to, temper his emotions and don't get carried out of the way early in the game. Fill the game out and pick the right situations that you're going to go for on 4th down. I like his balls. I like it, but let's just temper it down a little bit and save it for the situations that you need. But all that said, I was glad the Chargers won, and I'm going to be looking for them towards the future in this division. So what are your thoughts on this game?
So I'm high on the chart, and this is a thing. I have a mantra, and well, I don't always do this, but I usually don't bet against Belichick or Brady, and I usually don't bet on the Chargers. I think the Chargers are really set up to shake things up. After what I saw from the Chiefs, I had the Chiefs and then the Chargers, and then who cares between the Broncos and the Raiders. Mm-hmm. People are high on the Raiders. I don't know why. They added one dude on offense. Granted, they had sort of a Cinderella season last year. And you know what's funny is Khalil Mack, that big blunder that Gruden dealt. He went from the Raiders to the Bears. Yeah. And then back now he's in the division. Well, yeah. Gruden's just making tons of mistakes, flapping his mouth, and But I still think Gruden's a good coach, but bad decision making. Yeah. I'm high on the Chargers. I like Justin Herbert. I like Austin Eckler. I think they're a good team. Derek Carr's fine. I just don't see the Raiders are like the Broncos to me. Everyone's so high on them because of one big change. I'm not. They're definite. Raiders to me are going to be a fade team. Chargers might be a bet on team. I'm going to see what happens there. They did cover today in the division, which, as we talked about in the show, was 4 teams, four division dogs won and covered, and 2 didn't. And this is one of them. But I'm just not high on the Raiders, so I'm not surprised the Chargers beat them, and I still think the Chargers are a playoff team.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Josh McDaniels needs to get his foot wet on this is his first year, so yeah. They're going to have, things that they're going to have to fix throughout the season. But Derek Carr can't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. And he's been known to do it. And if he continues to do it, the Raiders are going to continue to do it to be with their back. So they gave up 24 points today, which, is a touchdown less than what they gave up last year because they gave up like 28, 29 last year. So we'll see if the defense can keep teams under 25. And let's see if Derek Carr can stop making mistakes and, pull some of these games out, at least to compete. But like I said, I don't have any money invested in them, so I don't have any issues with that. But the Chargers, I will be looking at in the future. Last game, man, Sunday night game, which was kind of boring, in my opinion. Really wasn't nothing exciting about this game. And like I talked earlier, I was second place in my pool going into Sunday night. I needed Dallas to win to try to jump into first place tomorrow to see if I could pull it out in Monday Night Football. But as soon as I saw that, I said I had no faith in Dallas. So let me go and jump on Tampa Bay in this under and parlayed it and hit it. So I was very happy with that. But as far as the game, I have no analysis of this game. It went as I expected. I didn't think the Cowboys, because I think it's the same thing with the Cardinals. People come into your home and embarrass you. And people do that at Jerry World every single time. And not only that, the fans out, they come to these games and overtake the Dallas fans. It's like a home game for the visiting team a lot of times in the stadium. So once again, that proved again, Tampa. But you say Tom Brady's 6-0 now against the Cowboys? Some crazy
7-0.
7-0.
The Cowboys have never beat him ever.
Wow, 7-0 against the Cowboys. So yeah, I'm glad I jumped on that game before it started and got a little bit of money. Even though I was invested with Dallas on the other side. But, hey, it all evened out to me. I'm happy. So what are your thoughts? Tampa Bay and Dallas, Sunday Night Football.
Didn't have a play on this earlier. I jumped on it live. I was watching Jimmy and Big Ragu and the PSR deal, and they were on the under. And then I looked at it, and it was 3/4 of the way through the first quarter, and it was 3-3. And the under had only moved 2 points. So I'm like, well, 49.5 is what I got it at. I got it at 49.5 and 50 because I clicked it twice.
Mm-hmm.
So I
good for you, right?
Yeah, I hit it twice. But it doesn't surprise me. I mean, Tom Brady, I will say this, he's not going to be throwing it down the field too much, but he made 2 different throws down the field. One was caught and one wasn't for 50 or 60 yards in the air. He still can throw the ball. I know there's a lot of stuff talking about him and his wife and all sorts. I mean, he's still the best. He's still the best football player to ever play the game. And Leonard Fournette rushed for 127 yards. That's a good sign. And their defense held the Cowboys, supposedly a high, potent offensive team, to 3 points. That's what you need to do. You have a great quarterback and you play defense, you can win. The Bucs are still on track, guys. They're going to win the NFC South. I'm sorry. And anyone that's watched me and my videos, never a Cowboys fan. I don't necessarily dislike the team more than the fans. Every year they're preordained to go to the Super Bowl, and Dak Prescott's an elite quarterback and blah, blah, blah. By the way, I saw in the comments he's out for a few weeks. He hit his finger on a helmet a couple of times, so he might have broke his finger.
Wow.
Yeah. Which to me is neither here nor there because the Eagles are still winning that division. Now they're in real deep shit. Kudos to the Bucs. The Bucs are still a team. They might not be as high scoring a team as people think. Gronk's gone, but yeah. I mean, I hit the under, and they might actually maybe be an under team. Maybe people are going to overestimate Brady and some of the weapons he has, like Godwin and stuff like that. But if you can hold a team to 3 points and have your running back run over 100 yards, you're going to win every game you play. Just about. Pretty
much. And Tom Brady's a veteran, man. So why should we have had any doubt?
Yeah.
The Dallas has a lot of turnover. They got rid of Amari Cooper. They're down a receiver with Gallup, so they try to depend on one. And if the run game isn't producing, you're not going to be able to rely on a quarterback like that.
Yeah.
He's an average quarterback, if that. So Cowboys in trouble, man. And like you just said, he's hurt now. He's not going to be playing.
They're going to be playing Cooper Rush, who has been he's like a Jacoby Brissett, but if you look at the Browns have in my opinion, have a more talented team than the Cowboys do.
Yeah. And if Cooper Rush.
I know I get that mixed up too. Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush. Even if he comes in this game and just be an average quarterback to where he can sustain an offense and not turn the ball over, the defense is going to have to play lights out in order for them to be in these games. And if you're on the field, like I said, over 30 minutes a game and your offense is not converting third downs and sustaining drives, you're not going to win. So I'm gonna be very interested to see what Skip Bayless has to say tomorrow about these Cowboys, because I love when he rants about them, because this is his team and he makes so excuses for them. But I just love to hear. I just like to laugh when Shannon gets on him about them. But
doesn't he love Tom Brady though too?
He likes both of them.
Yeah,
he likes both.
His things he has hard-ons for the Cowboys. I think Oklahoma football, and he loves Tom Brady, and I agree with him with Tom Brady. But he's the epitome of why I don't like. I mean, I'm a handicapper. Okay, I like money more than my teams. And if I don't like my team, I'm either going to bet against them or not bet them. Like, I will not bet against USC. I won't do it. I'll bet against the Niners. I'll bet against the Lakers. I'll bet against the Angels. I'll bet against the Dodgers. Those are my teams. I won't bet against USC. But I'm not going to bet for them in a situation when I know it's not good. And there are so many situations that Cowboys fans it's just fanboy bullshit, and I can't stand that.
Pretty much, man. That's why I tell all my Cowboy friends, hey, man, stop.
Chill. Take a chill pill.
Yeah, please. Just stop, man.
Yeah.
Because you know who your team are. You just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. They just don't want to admit
They haven't won a Super Bowl for almost 30 years, but they also, by the way, I think I looked this up, I can't remember. They've been out of the first round of the playoffs once or twice since they've won a Super Bowl. So they haven't done anything. They've had teams to do it. I mean, when they had Romo and they had Witten and they had a good defense and they had the best offensive line for so many years, they still couldn't do it. And you want to know what that's an example of? And God bless the guy, but Jerry Jones, they're not going to win a Super Bowl until that guy is, not the owner. And unfortunately, probably
you can say it. I say it all the time until he passes away.
And I
because I don't think he's going to relinquish the job.
Yeah, he's like Al Davis. He's like Al Davis for the Raiders.
I mean, that just is what it is, man. I mean, that may be harsh to say, but until he leaves, the Cowboys are going to be what the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. That's all the games. I don't know if you want to go over any MLB plays. I don't know if you made any MLB plays today.
No, we hit you and me and a lot of people hit this MLB season hard. It was my best baseball is my least. I cap 4 sports and it's my least experienced. But this season I smashed MLB. I'm off it now into the playoffs. I will bet it when there's nothing going on, like on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I think there are some football games on Wednesdays, but like tomorrow, I'm going to look at the MLB card. If I don't like it, there's only one play I've got, and that's in the Monday night game. So I bet 0 MLB today. I'll still be fading Corbin and some other guys, but I don't have any MLB action today or tomorrow yet.
Okay. I actually took some MLB today.
Okay.
Because I'm a trend guy. Yeah. And like I said, the Astros are the number 1 team, 3rd game of a home series, road or away. And today I took them, and they smashed the Angels. So I took the Diamondbacks, first 5 again.
Love them.
Hit.
Yep.
So the Mets minus the half because they would come off a loss. So I'm pretty it's certain trends that you can put your money behind. That's gonna 9 times out of 10 is gonna cash. Considering
I will say this though, and the Diamondbacks have been the past month my most profitable team.
Yeah,
I'll say this: we've seen it with the Nationals, who were horrible. We've seen it with the Diamondbacks. There are 2 types of teams that are going to be bet on teams right now: the teams that have a chance, but a far chance of getting in the playoffs, like the Orioles that are fighting hard, and then the teams that have nothing to lose versus teams that are locks in the playoffs that are sleeping. And that's the Nationals, that's the D-backs. That's where the opportunities are coming right now. And I still fade pitchers that I don't like, but
of course.
My mind is just so far from baseball right now.
Well, another reason why I took him because Gallen was pitching today.
Oh, Gallen's a beast.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just certain situations where you could just blindly bet it, because of the data that's been produced throughout the season. So you can trust it. And like I said, some of these pitchers are aces to where hey, just ride the pitcher. You know what I'm saying? And just take the first 5. But I had a good day today. Like I said, I took the Guardians on the money line. They hit. I took the Mets minus the 1.5. It hit. I took the Astros minus the half. It hit. I took the Diamondbacks minus the half first 5. Those are the basically they all hit. So, like I said, all in all, with my props, my football, and my baseball, I went 14-2-1 today. So
you made a second bankroll today. Jesus,
yeah, for real. Because I'm trying to accumulate it because football's here, Dave, and I'm gonna be all over the place, man. I'm gonna tell you, and I love this time of the year because tomorrow's Monday, right? We still have a Monday night game. Yep. So Tuesday, Wednesday is the day where we're anticipating football because we're back at it on Thursday night. Yep. And then Friday comes, it's the weekend. People do college, you know.
College is on Friday, yep.
So this is the perfect time of the year for me because the weeks are going to just fly by considering all the anticipation and the excitement of sports now. Mm-hmm. So I love it, man. I love it.
I'm stoked on it. I've never been I've been on Twitter and all this for only about a year, but I've handicapped for 7 years now. I've sports bet all my life, but I started to get smart about 7 years. I've never been more excited for a fall than this time. The problem is when we're doing all this stuff, and we do other things, we have other jobs and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm about to be just swamped to hell with.
But it's worth it. So we just got to manage our time. We got to manage our time better. And I can tell my wife, we're gonna have to schedule events accordingly because I'm gonna have a lot on my plate. Because like you say, I've only been captain really maybe 2 years, but I've been betting pretty much since I was in high school. But just betting on a team, exchanging money through hand. But as far as going into the team stats and breaking down the data and doing the numbers, I've only really been doing that the last 2 years because I saw how profitable it could be. It's easy to talk about the game when you're with casual conversation people. Yeah. But when you start breaking out numbers and data and statistics, people look at you crazy. And they're like, how do you know that? Yeah. And I'm like, because I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning and I break down these games.
Well, it's when you bet on. It's when you put a bet on. It's when you put a bet on against the Texans versus the Colts, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And then look what happened. I mean, they don't know any different.
It is, man. Like I said, the research is going to pan out. And like they always say, numbers don't lie. It may not hit today, but your average is going to hit. So that's pretty much what it is. But hey, Dave, I appreciate you, man, spending some time with me tonight. Like I said, we can do this every week. Every Sunday night after the games, we can just shoot the shit, talk about what we saw, you know what I'm saying, and just vent about whatever we want to vent about. Because like I said, this is Raw Words. That's the name of my channel. You can rant about whatever. That's what it stands for. That's the acronym if most people don't know. But that's what it is. So, man, appreciate you, man. Like I said, if you have any time during the week, we can jump on and do some previews for week 2. It's up to you. Just hit me up. Let me know when you got time. And like I said, I'm going to come back on your show on Friday. You know what I'm saying? And we can do the weekend game. So thanks so much, man. And like I said, any other thoughts before we go down here? Anything else?
Nope, that's it. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for football, and I'll definitely be back.
Hey, you my man. So until then, man, thanks for everybody for tuning in. LJ from H-Town. Picks from Dave. Follow him on Twitter, Picks from Dave. We put our picks out every day. He does one. He's probably going to do one right now to put out late at night. So I'm going to be looking for that as well. So till then, Raw Words Podcast, and we out.
It's H-Town for real. And we keep it real.